Hi, today I'd like to show you how easy it is to make a broomstick canjo. First of all, you need some kind of broomstick. There's one here. Now I've cut this one 29 inches long, and this is the end for the tuner, and what I've done is I've flattened it out here. Hopefully that's in focus. Maybe it's in focus back here. Anyway, and I've drilled two holes, one to hang it with right there, and one to put the tuner in, which is just slightly off center. If you look at the edge of this hole here, you'll see that's in the center, and that's so the string will go down the center. I'll talk about these marks in a second. And then down here, I flattened this out. Now I did this, I usually do this a little bit anyway so the can sits firm, but I have a square can today. And I thought, ooh, that might be cool. So that's what I'm going to use today. So as you can see, there's marks and stuff on it. Now you don't have to put marks on it if you don't want to. That's an extra step. Some people don't care about that. They just use their ear, but I'll show you how I did it, just in case you want to. So I made a template for the frets. And I went to Stumac. That's a lutherie store in the States, and they have a lot of free stuff like scales for fretting and stuff like that. And they what I did was I went down there, I'll put the link in the description, and they have the numbers for the distance from here to the first fret, from here to there. You can also go from fret to fret, but I find that's a little risky because if you start going off you don't know. So I go from the nut to each fret, and there's the number, and I use a square once I've marked it to just, just square it out. And then you have that forever. This is a 24-inch scale. I just happen to like slightly smaller instruments. They have lots of different sizes there. You can actually type in whatever length scale you think you want, depending on how long your instrument is, shorter and longer, and they give you all the dimensions, so you can make one of these real easy. And how I apply it to here, super easy too. If you can see that, I just put them side by side, and I take a C-clamp and I clamp them together. And actually, to be exactly right, it would look like this. I clamp them together, and then I use the square to make a mark. And that takes care of that. And what I did as well, I took one of these files here, mostly because I noticed the pencil marks weren't going to come up on camera too good. So I just went across each pencil mark with this. And that made all these little grooves in there, which I think you can see pretty good. And I used a drill for the position markers. But once again, that's like a bonus. You don't have to do that if you just want to make an instrument make some noise. Oh, later on in the video too, I'll show you how easy it is to loop and make your own backup and jam with yourself with one of these. It's quite surprising what you can do. So there's those two holes. Now this hole here is for the nut screw, you might call it. And we're using a screw like this for the nut, and you see it's a blade type screw, and that means the string can sit in it like that. And what I do is, it doesn't work so great if it's flat. It works a lot better, I think I'll switch this around here, if the hole is drilled at a bit of an angle like that. Right? And what happens, theoretically, if I put it in with the right number of turns, whoops, and don't kill myself in the process. There we go. As you can see, the edge, there you go, right there, it just sits in there like that. Now we're not planning on playing this with our fingers, although you can. So it doesn't matter that it's a little bit high there. It's not about low action. For slide, which is what this is about, this is to be played with a slide, you want it up a little bit anyway, especially if you haven't been playing slide very long, so that you get a nice clean, clear tone. Okay? Now the tuner, one of these regular tuners, you can get them at Amazon, but my suggestion is usually, if you have a music store or a repair guy, these tuners are often replaced in guitars, and they got nothing they can do with them. They virtually, I used to work in a repair shop, we'd give them away. You know, people would take Squire guitars and stuff like that, and they'd take the tuners, and one of the first upgrades they do is swap out the tuners. So they become really close to valuable. So sometimes you can get these for free, or you can buy them on Amazon, and I'm sure other places as well. So you want to make sure when you drill this hole, it's a little off center. You want to make sure as well that this is below the worm here. This part here is called the worm. That's the gear. Because when the string is pulling on it, you want it to pull the gear into the worm so you have a tight connection. If you do it the other way, it can actually, especially if you're putting tension on it, it can pull it away and it'll slip a lot, right? You also want to make sure that you use the drill where it's as identical to the diameter of this as possible. So this is really tight. Now, another place where some of my students have run into a tiny bit of problem is the back here. They kind of, you know, they want it to look perpendicular, like they did a good job. And you can do that, but as you can see, hopefully, that leaves this sitting up in the air, and it isn't a good connection. So it's better to do it at a little bit of a twist so that both these are touching the wood. So I'm just going to put that stuff together right now. I spared you guys watching me do all the drilling. I did that outside. I don't actually have a shop. I do all my building over a trash can. I have a little bit of a bench that I do setups and stuff like that on. Okay, so that's it for that end of the guitar. Box is really straightforward. What I did was I put a hole here. There we go. Right in the middle. You hook it down with, and one in the front. Now, as you can see here, whoops, flip this around. As you can see here, this isn't as thick as a full broomstick anymore. So I have a fairly thick screw with wide threads for the back part to hold it down. And a smaller screw, because there isn't really any, there we go, really isn't much pressure on the front. That's just to hold it in place. So it's got, you know, pretty wide threads, so there's some gription there. And we'll talk about the jack. So you can get these at the source, not too expensive, a couple bucks. You can get them on Amazon too, but it's kind of better if you order a bunch of them. So if you have friends who want to do this, then you could really get them quite cheaply. But once again, $1 or $2. And this is called a piezo buzzer. You can get them on Amazon too, but they charge a little bit more individually. And I'm trying to keep this like way below 10 bucks. I mean, it really honestly doesn't have to be even $10. Where you get these, at a store like the Source, or depending on where you live, I think there's still Radio Shacks. Oftentimes they don't look like this. They have a black piece of plastic around them. And they're called a piezo buzzer, not a piezo pickup. So that's fine. You buy it anyway. I personally think the bigger the better. And you just crack the plastic and take it away, and you'll end up seeing that you have this. And the only thing you have to remember is the black is the ground. The outside here is the ground, and you have to know which is the ground on here. So you solder that to there, and you solder the red to the live, which is the tip of your plug-in. And that's all you have to do with that. And I do that first. I solder the two of them together. Now I've already done that here, once again because I didn't want to move my camera. So you drill the appropriate size hole, and you drop the thing through, and you tighten it up. And then in here, you can see that it's glued there. So just the way this one came, it was long enough for me to reach my fingers in there. So what I did was I just grabbed a glue gun from the dollar store, and I put in a bunch of glue, and then I quickly flip this over and put it on top of the glue, and I didn't press down because it's hot. You could burn yourself. especially a young person, if you're a young person doing this. So what I do is you have to be quick though, is I just take a back of a screwdriver like this, and I push that down. Make sure it's tight. I wiggle it around a bit so that the glue is sticking out all the way around it, so you don't get that feedbacky sound. Okay, so I'm going to just slap this on here. Oh, on my scale board there, I also have where the bridge goes marked. There we go. Better back here, I guess. That's where the bridge goes. So when I was doing this, I put a mark. So that's where your string has to end in a canjo. And there's one thing to be aware of, is this particular can, most of them actually, has rim. So you don't want to put the rim there. Yeah, it'll still work, and you'll just be slightly out of whack with your marks. But more so the higher up you go, the worse it'll be. But what you want to do is actually put where the screw is, where the string is going to go, which by the way is right there. That's 1 inch up, because this cut here is a 1/2 inch, and you want it at least a 1/2 inch above that. You don't want it too much past that, because that throws the intonation out, and then your marks aren't quite accurate as well. So that's about the best spot, 1/2 inch up from the top of this, and you just drill a hole the right size. You can drill a hole in a penny or a quarter or anything else, metal, and have something to sort of reinforce it if you like, but you don't have to. Oh, just to make sure it's clear there. So here's the mark, and I want the box to be past the mark. So I already figured out where it's supposed to go. So the mark has to line up with this flat wall here. And that's what you want on the mark. Right? Okay, so I just put that together. Shouldn't take me more than 10 or 15 minutes. Everybody can go get a beer. So you're getting how simple this is? Here, I won't want you to miss on the excitement of me turning the screwdriver. I better move. Okay, there's the first screw. Second screw is just going in the front here. See if I can do that without embarrassing myself. Makes everything really interesting when you turn on a camera. And because of this little dip, the screw, even though it's sticking up a bit, isn't going to bother with the vibration of the string, because it's yet again a 1/2 inch above that. So now I'm going to put the string on. So there's really next to nothing to it. Oh, another thing you can do is you can put these marks on the side and leave the front bare. And that way, you know, as you get good at playing this thing, people are amazed at your great ear and accurate sense of intonation. Always a good thing if you're going to perform for people. Don't want to give away all your secrets. Right, and if you over tighten it, you will have problems. This is a 42 from a set of 9 to 42 guitar strings, so it's a 6 string. So it's meant to be tuned down around E, D, or maybe up to G, because this is a smaller, shorter scale. And that's not too much pressure. So that's not going to buckle this or anything. If you start going, you'll know, because things will start to break if you go up too high. We need to test it. Now hopefully you can see this looper here. This is the off-on switch here. So first of all, I'm going to turn the amp on. Make sure it works. Get rid of some of that treble. Turn the volume up a bit. You can actually turn this like into a tremolo. Right? That's kind of cool. Anyway, so here we are. Going to need a little slide here. There we go. So basically, you're ready to play. Everybody loves fret 3 and fret 5 for that kind of stuff. And the blues scale is 3, 0, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 12. That's your blues scale. You want to hold on to that thought, because I'm going to show you how you can just take your looper, right, and you can just play with one hand, play a rhythm. Now you got some backing, just like that, without putting it on the floor and worrying about your foot. Just do it one-handed. Other things you can do is you can just tap. Actually, I think I'll add that. Add it by pressing it again. So we have a weird psychedelic backing track. And now we can jam using the blues scale, which once again is 0, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 12. Oh, I'll turn down the back up a little bit. Here we go. Turn everything up a bit, wake up and that's all you need to do. Probably not the best backing track in the world, but that's how easy it is to just make something up and just jam along with it and have some fun. I hope you have fun with this project. Have a great day. Bye.